The sky over Nova 7's Trade Bazaar turned gray as heavy rain began to fall, soaking the steel stalls and neon tarps of the alien marketplace. Daniel Creed walked slowly through the crowded aisles, his boots splashing in puddles, his eyes scanning the broken machines and used tech that lined the vendor shelves. He wasn't rich, not even close. But today, he needed anything to help keep his dusty home in order. Living alone at the edge of the outer colonies wasn't easy. The war had left him with scars on his body and silence in his home. That silence felt louder with each passing day. As he passed a stall full of half-working droids, a sudden scream of static cut through the air. Sparks burst from a corner where an alien-made unit stood frozen, her body twitching violently. Some people jumped back, cursing. One vendor kicked at the figure angrily, yelling that she was damaged goods and useless junk. But Daniel didn't move. He watched her closely, narrowing his eyes. The maid wasn't like the other service bots. Her skin shimmered faintly, a soft lavender glow that seemed too smooth to be metal. Her eyes, flickering wildly between glitching light patterns, locked onto his for a second. And in that second, Daniel felt something strange. She looked afraid. The vendor shouted for someone to haul the broken unit to the salvage bin. "Ain't worth scrap weight," he yelled, grabbing her by the arm. But the way she jerked back, even in her damaged state, felt too human. Daniel stepped forward. "How much?" he asked sharply. The vendor raised a brow. "She's busted. Can't cook, can't talk, can't clean. Might explode on your floor. You want her? Take her for 50 credits. That was almost nothing for an android of her kind. Something about the deal felt wrong. But Daniel didn't walk away. Instead, he transferred the credits, signed the transfer chip, and walked up. To the shivering figure, he gently reached for her arm. "Come on," he said. The moment his hand touched her, her twitching stopped. Her body stilled. Her head tilted slightly, eyes flickering softer. And she followed him. Back at his workshop home on the outskirts of the city, Daniel led her inside. The place was small but clean, half storage, half living space. He sat her down on an old repair bench, wiping her face gently with a cloth. Her skin felt warm, like real flesh, not synthetic metal. "Let's see what you are," he muttered. He removed the access panel on her back, expecting tangled wires or fried circuits. But instead, under a thin layer of flexible skin, he saw something glowing. A strange, swirling emblem etched in gold light embedded into the base of her spine. It looked ancient, regal, and completely out of place. His fingers froze. That was no factory symbol. It was a royal crest. He had seen one once during the war, displayed on the uniforms of high-born alien leaders. It was a forbidden mark, one the Dominion used only for the bloodline. Daniel stepped back slowly, heart pounding. What the hell was this thing? This wasn't a servant bot, not even a normal hybrid. Someone had hidden royalty inside a maid's shell. But why? As he backed away, trying to process what he'd found, the alien maid's body twitched again. She sat up, slowly, her head turning toward him. Her eyes glowed, not with panic or error this time, but with clarity. She opened her mouth. A dry whisper escaped her lips. "Run." Daniel froze. "What?" he whispered, barely believing she spoke. She stared at him, pain on her face. "They'll come," she whispered again. "They'll come for me." A flash of light blinked from the crest on her back. Somewhere out there, something had been activated. A signal sent. A beacon lit. Daniel's instincts screamed at him. He wasn't just holding a broken machine. He was holding a secret someone would kill to retrieve. Rain still tapped softly against the roof, but outside, shadows had started to move through the streets. And in the darkness of his shop, Daniel Creed knew this was no ordinary purchase. This maid was no servant. And everything in his quiet life had just changed. Asterisk, the night was heavy and still, a kind of silence that pressed on your chest like weight. Daniel sat on the edge of his workbench, watching the strange alien girl know the broken maid resting in the recharge alcove. She hadn't moved since whispering that one haunting word, run. He kept turning the name in his head, kept replaying the glow of that strange crest beneath her skin. It was no longer just a mystery. It was danger. He didn't know her name or what species she truly was, but something deep in his bones told him she hadn't been lying. That signal had triggered something. Maybe someone already knew where she was. He barely had time to finish that thought when the security panel beside the door flashed red. A motion alert. Someone was out there. Daniel stood fast and muted the lights. The camera showed two figures, dark armor, moving fast, no colony badges, and too silent to be local security. He cursed under his breath and grabbed the old plasma wrench from his locker. The recharge alcove sparked softly as the girl stirred, her eyes opening with a golden shimmer. "They've come," she said again, voice steadier this time. "I told you." Daniel didn't ask questions. He grabbed her hand. "Can you walk?" She nodded, unsteady but awake. He pulled her to the back door. The first blast came seconds later. The front door exploded inward with a fireburst, and armored. Boots hit the floor like thunder. Daniel shoved open the back hatch and pulled her into the alley behind the workshop, leading her into the maze of old storm tunnels beneath the city. As they moved through wet steel corridors and flickering lights, he asked, "Who are they? What do they want?" She didn't answer at first, but after a long silence, she whispered, "They're hunters. Sent to erase what I was." "What you were?" he asked. She looked at him, and for a second, her face showed something more than fear, something like shame. A mistake. A royal mistake. The tunnels twisted and curved, and Daniel finally led her into a sealed maintenance chamber he had used before. No cameras, no sensors, no signals. Safe for now. She collapsed on the floor, trembling again. Daniel knelt beside her. "You're not a machine, are you?" She shook her head. "No. I'm part organic, hybrid, built for display, meant to rule. But I was taken. My mind was broken and rewritten, sold as nothing. I don't remember all of it, but some of it's coming back." Daniel stared at her. "A royalty slave. That shouldn't even exist. Do you have a name?" he asked softly. Her lips parted slowly. "Alira," she said. The name felt like it belonged in a storybook, but Daniel didn't laugh. It suited her, even in her broken state. "All right, Alira, I'm Daniel. And I think someone's trying real hard to make sure you stay lost." She nodded faintly. "They won't stop. They can't let me be found. If the Dominion learns I'm alive, it could restart everything." Daniel didn't ask what everything meant. The Dominion had ended a war only 10 years ago. He didn't need more details to know the consequences could be huge. "Then we need to get you out of here," he said. "I know a guy. He used to run extraction routes before the peace accords. He owes me." Alira looked at him, her gold eyes softening. "Why are you helping me?" Daniel stood slowly. "Because the last time I didn't help someone, I had to watch them die. Not again." She didn't respond with words, but the way her fingers brushed against his as he helped her up said enough. Just as they started to plan, a soft static hum filled the air. The crest on her back was glowing again, brighter than before. "Alira," gasped, clutching her side. "They're using it to track me." "I can feel them." Daniel's mind raced. "Then we need to shut it down. Can you?" She shook her head, pain showing on her face. "I don't know how. It's deep in my system. Daniel's heart pounded. Then I'll find a way. But before he could say more, the steel door behind them shook from a heavy blast. They weren't alone anymore. The hunters had found them again. And this time, there would be no easy escape. Asterisk. The door buckled inward with a second loud bang, dust falling from the ceiling as metal groaned under pressure. Daniel scanned the room quickly. No exits. Just thick pipes along the walls, old tools, and dim lights flickering above. Alira was on her knees, the glowing crest on her back pulsing faster now, lighting up the dark like a heartbeat made of fire. She winced in pain, her hand gripping her side where small veins of light traced across her skin. "They're burning it," she whispered, trying to overload me from the inside. Daniel didn't hesitate. He yanked the old tool cabinet away from the wall and pried open the control panel behind it. Wires and rusted fuses stared back at him. He connected two lines together, forcing an old maintenance hatch to creak open behind the pipe grid. "Crawl," he said to her, guiding her toward the narrow opening. "It's an old waste conduit, should lead us to a lower deck." She didn't argue, even as her body shook. Her programming no, her instincts were in survival mode now. She climbed in, and Daniel followed, sealing the panel behind them just before the door above blew apart. The hunters poured in, their voices muffled as the tunnel walls swallowed. The sound. Daniel and Alira crawled through the tight space, wet and dark, with only the soft glow of her body lighting the way. After a long crawl, they dropped into a deeper chamber, an old filtration room filled with abandoned machinery and oily water on the floor. Alira leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "I can't keep running," she said, her voice cracking. "They'll always find me. That crest, they built it to glow when I disobeyed. To punish me, to remind me I'm theirs." Daniel looked at her, really looked. Her face was tired, but still graceful. Her eyes full of pain, but also something else, something human. "Then we turn it off," he said. "We cut it out if we have to." She blinked at him. "It's wired into my spine, into my blood. I'm not just wearing it. I am it." For a moment, silence filled the room, broken only by dripping water and the distant hum of city machinery. Daniel slowly stepped forward, kneeling beside her. "Then maybe we don't cut it out. Maybe we rewrite it." She looked at him like he was mad. "You're not a coder." "No," he said, pulling a small chip drive from his belt. "But I've got something from someone who was." It was old Rebel Tech, a data spike from a war zone salvage site. A program designed to override Dominion slave codes. He had kept it all these years, thinking it might be worth something. Now it might be the only thing that could save her. Alira hesitated. "If it fails, it could shut everything in me down. I might not wake up. Then we'll do it together," Daniel said. "If you go down, I won't leave." That promise simple, and quiet broke something in her. No one had ever said they would stay. Not since her childhood. Not since they stripped her name away. She gave him a small nod. "Do it." He connected the chip to the port, just above the glowing crest. Sparks jumped. Her body jolted. Her head snapped back. A scream tore from her throat, but she didn't fall. She endured it. The glow of the crest changed from sharp white to soft gold, then began to dim. Her breathing slowed. Her eyes fluttered. Then silence. Daniel held his breath, watching her still body, afraid he'd killed her. But then her eyes opened. Clear. Steady. No. More flickering. She sat up slowly. "It worked," she whispered. "It's quiet now. For the first time, I can't feel them." He smiled, relief washing over him. But before he could speak, her hand shot out to his chest, pushing him flat against the wall. Her eyes had gone wide, not in fear, but warning. "Someone's here," she whispered. A shadow moved beyond the chamber gate. A cloaked figure stepped through, arms raised in peace. His face was older, worn by time and war, with a scar across his cheek. "Alira," he said gently, "you've grown." Her voice caught in her throat. "Varric." Daniel stood, confused. "You know him?" Her voice was low. "He was the one who stole me and raised me. He taught me how to forget who I was." Varric took another step forward. "You were never meant to remember, child, but you did. That means you're dangerous." "Now." Daniel moved protectively in front of her. Varric sighed. "Don't make this hard. Come with me and I'll make sure you're not hunted. Stay with him and you both die." Alira's hands trembled as she reached for Daniel's arm. "He's lying. He always lied." Daniel glanced at her, then back at Varric. His grip on the tool tightened. He wasn't letting her go. "Not now. Not ever." Varric stepped closer, his boots splashing in the shallow water as he raised one open hand. "Alira, you don't understand what's at stake. You've been seen. Your crest lit up half the network factions, royalists, warlords. They all know you're alive. If they catch you first, they won't just erase you. They'll use you, bend you into a weapon." His voice was calm, almost fatherly. "Let me take you to a secure facility. Somewhere off-world. We'll shut you down gently. You won't feel a thing, and no one will get hurt." Alira's fingers curled into fists. Her breathing grew faster. "You said I'd be free. You said you saved me from the royals, but you only put a collar in their place." Daniel stepped between them. "You're not shutting anyone down." Varric gave him a cold look. "You don't know what she is." "She's someone," Daniel shot back. "That's enough for me." The air grew still, like the world was, holding its breath. Alira looked between the two men, torn between past and present. "He raised me," she whispered. "But he also programmed me. He made me forget my name. He made me serve." Daniel gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You remember now. That means you get to choose." Varric's eyes darkened. "I didn't want to hurt you, Alira. But if you won't come quietly." He reached for a device on his wrist and pressed a hidden command. A sudden jolt ripped through Alira's body. Her legs buckled, eyes wide with shock. She collapsed with a cry, her spine arching as the crest on her back burned with renewed fury. Daniel lunged toward her, yelling her name, but Varric slammed him back against the wall with unnatural force. "She's a failsafe," Varric growled, "a machine made to resemble hope. But she was never real. She's more real than you," Daniel gasped, kicking Varric's leg and pushing free. He crawled to Alira, her skin flashing with dangerous pulses of energy. Her body was seizing, and her eyes flickered in pain. "Fight it, Alira," he begged. "You're stronger than their code." Her lips moved slowly, breath short. "Can't. Hold it." Daniel pulled the data spike from his belt again. "We'll do what we did before," he said. "I'll override it again." But Alira's hand grabbed his wrist, shaking her head. "It's different. It's not just a lock. It's a command. If I follow it, I disappear. If I fight it..." Her voice faded. Daniel stared at her, his own heart racing. "Then fight it. I'm here. I won't leave." Alira shut her eyes, focusing inward. And then something changed. Her body stilled. Her skin stopped pulsing. The crest glowed, but not with wild energy, with calm, controlled light. Slowly she sat up. Her hand opened, the small crest in. Her back shimmered, and a sharp tone rang out, cutting through the room like a blade. Varric stepped back, startled. "What have you done?" Alira stood, straight-backed, her voice calm and cold. "I took control." Daniel helped her to her feet, stunned by the strength in her eyes. "You shut him out," he whispered. She gave a small nod. I remembered more. My mind, it's not just code, it's mine. But the moment was short-lived. Varek's eyes turned wild. "You're a threat now. If the royals see you like this, they'll send assassins, not envoys. Do you even understand what you've awakened?" He drew a weapon from his coat, a pulse pistol, humming low with heat. "I won't let you become the reason for another war." Before Daniel could move, Varek fired. The bolt hit the wall inches beside Elira's head. She didn't flinch. She stepped forward instead. "Then you'll have to end me right now." Daniel moved to shield her, but Elira pulled him back gently. "No more running," she said. "He won't fire again." Varek trembled, pistol raised, but his finger wouldn't squeeze. His hand lowered. "You really are her," he said, voice shaking. "The last blood of the Empire." Elira stepped closer, stopping only a foot away. "I'm not their puppet anymore, and I'm not yours either." Varek looked at her one final time, sorrow in his eyes. Then he turned and vanished into the shadows, his footsteps echoing away. Daniel stared after him. Will he be back? Elira was quiet for a long moment, not alone. "The signal went out when I took control. They'll come now. All of them. The royals, the rebels, the ones who want a crown, and the ones who want it earned." Daniel looked at her, heart heavy, with the weight of what she'd said. "Then what do we do?" She turned to him, calm but fierce. "We prepare." And far above them, in the blackness of space, a beacon flared in the heart of a Dominion satellite, a signal that had not been triggered in decades. It read one thing only: Royal error confirmed. Ask ChatGPT asterisk. The hidden shelter felt colder now. The moment Elira took control of her crest, something in the world had shifted. Daniel could feel it in the air, like a storm was building. He paced quietly while Elira sat by the old terminal, her back straight, hands folded in her lap. Her glow was softer now, no longer pulsing wildly, but steady like a lantern in the dark. She looked stronger, but her silence was heavy. "Are you sure you're okay?" Daniel asked, his voice gentle. Elira looked up at him, and for the first time, her eyes were clear, no flicker, no glitch. "It doesn't hurt anymore," she said, "but I feel open, like everything inside me is exposed. The memories, the codes, the blood." Daniel sat beside her, unsure what to say. "I can help you carry it." She turned to him slowly. "You already are." A soft chime from the comboard lit up a nearby screen. Daniel rushed over and checked the signal. It wasn't local. It was a planetary alert and orbital breach. Ships had entered Nova 7's atmosphere. Unknown class, cloaked drive signatures. "They're here," he muttered. Elira stood. "How many?" "4," he said. "One of them is broadcasting a sealed royal frequency." Elira nodded once. "That's the crown ship. They know who I am now. They've come to take me back." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You don't have to go with them." "If I don't," she said quietly, "they'll start a war just to retrieve me. If I do, I'll vanish. You'll never see me again." He walked to her, stopping just inches away. "Then we find another way." They left the shelter just before dawn. The sun hadn't risen yet, but the first light was touching the towers of the outer city. Daniel led her to the old Cum Spire, a forgotten relic from before the Dominion took over. It still had a wide beam channel that could reach other colonies. If they could speak before the royals arrived, they might change the story, broadcast her voice to the galaxy before anyone else claimed her fate. Inside the tower, they activated the speaker grid. Elira stepped into the center, her long silver hair catching the soft glow of morning light. "Are you ready?" Daniel asked, hand hovering over the broadcast switch. She looked at him. If I disappear after this, will you remember me? Every day, he said. Then he pressed the switch. Elira took a deep breath, and her voice rang across the airwaves. To all who can hear me, I am Elira of the bloodline Arenth. I was made to serve, then forgotten, then sold. But I have remembered who I am, and I do not seek a throne. I seek peace. I do not want war. I want choice. I want freedom. For me, for others like me. If you come to claim me, know that I will not kneel. Her voice trembled once, but she did not stop. I am not a tool, not a prize. I am alive, and I choose my own path. The signal went out open and clear. Every channel, every screen in Nova 7 lit up with her words. Across the colony, people looked up. Some gasped, some knelt. Some turned and whispered her name. And in orbit, aboard the largest ship in the royal fleet, a golden-eyed woman in a jeweled robe leaned forward, listening. She remembers, the Empress whispered, but she does not return. A guard asked, shall we deploy extraction teams? The Empress paused, then answered, no, send the envoy. Back on the surface, Daniel and Elira stood on the roof of the tower, watching the sky as a sleek silver craft descended like a falling star. It landed softly just meters away. Two figures emerged, one armored, the other dressed in royal black robes. The robed one stepped forward and bowed. Princess Elira, he said with reverence, the Empress has heard your words. She invites you to speak as an equal. No chains, no guards. Elira blinked. Why? Because you are no longer a ghost, he said. You are a voice. And the galaxy is listening. Daniel took her hand gently. It's your call. She looked at him for a long moment, her fingers squeezing his. I'll go, she whispered. But only if you come. With me. Daniel froze. Me? You're the only reason I survived. If they want the truth, they'll have to take all of it. He smiled faintly. Then let's give them the truth. They walked together toward the envoy ship, side by side. But just before they entered, Elira paused, her eyes narrowing. Something's wrong, she said. This ship. It's not. The royal vessel. The markings are false. Daniel looked around. Too late. The second figure behind them raised a hidden weapon aimed straight at Elira's back. A shot rang out. The screen of light shattered. Everything went white. Asterisk. The sound of the energy blast echoed across the rooftop like a thunderclap. For a moment, there was no air, no time, just blinding light. Daniel's heart stopped as he saw Elira's body jerk forward, her hand slipping from his. She collapsed to her knees, and he caught her before she hit the ground. Elira, no. No. Stay with me? He begged, holding her trembling body. Her eyes were open, but her glow was flickering like a dying flame. The false envoy who had fired the shot stepped forward, aiming again. The Empire cannot risk her voice spreading. She is a symbol. Symbols must be erased. But before he could fire again, the crest on Elira's back pulsed violently. A burst of energy exploded outward, sending the attacker flying across the rooftop, slamming him into a wall. Smoke filled the air. Her body trembled in Daniel's arms, but she was still alive. From the sky above, the real royal envoy ship descended, silent and swift, casting a golden light on the broken rooftop. Soldiers in true regalia emerged, weapons ready, scanning the scene. One of them rushed to the fallen attacker, confirmed his false insignia, and nodded to the others. The leader of the envoy, a tall woman with white eyes and a silver cloak, knelt beside Elira. Princess, she said softly, we failed you once. We will not fail again. Daniel tightened his grip. If you try to take her away, I'll fight every one of you. The woman looked at him for a moment, then offered a calm nod. She decides, not us. Alira stirred, her voice faint. Help me up. Daniel supported her as she stood, barely steady on her feet. Her glow was dim now, but her eyes burned with strength. She looked at the envoy commander. There will be no throne, no chains, no palace. The woman bowed slightly. Understood. Then here is my decree, Alira said, lifting her voice. From this day on, hybrids, servants, forgotten ones, we are not tools. We are people. You may call me Heir, but I will not rule from a chair. I will walk among them. I will speak for them. If I am a symbol, let me be one of freedom. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The commander stepped back and activated transmitter. Her voice carried to the royal ship above. By her own word, the princess chooses the people. There was silence. Then the voice of the empress echoed across the channel. So be it. Alira's legs gave out again, and Daniel caught her. Easy. You did it, he whispered. She smiled faintly. Not yet. But we started something, didn't we? Yeah, he said. We did. In the days that followed, Alira's words spread across the colonies like fire. Her message was replayed on every screen on worlds filled with broken hybrids, on ships where former servants whispered her name. No longer just a machine, no longer a ghost, she was hope. And at her side, always, was the human who believed in her when she was just a malfunctioning maid. Together, Daniel and Alira helped build something new, a refuge city called Hololight, made in the ruins of an old Dominion fortress. It became a home for outcasts, hybrids, rogue engineers, and former servants seeking more than silence. There were threats, of course, warlords who saw Alira as a danger, royals who wanted her back in their grasp. But she was no longer alone. Sometimes, Daniel would wake up to find her standing on the balcony at night, staring at the stars. Do you ever miss your old life? He asked one night. Alira turned, glowing softly in the moonlight. I don't even remember most of it, she said. But I remember the day you fixed me. Not just my wires, me. Daniel chuckled. You fixed me too, you know. How? She asked. Before you, he said, stepping beside her. I was just surviving. Now, I'm living. She reached out and took his hand. Then let's keep living. Together. And together, they looked up at the stars, no longer hunted, no longer hiding. Just two souls, one human and one alien, building something that had never existed before. A future where no one would ever be bought, broken, or silenced again. And far above, in the quiet watch of the stars, the Empress of the Dominion closed. Her eyes with a whisper. The Crest was never wrong. She was born to lead, just not the way we expected. The signal of Alira's voice would echo for generations. And it all began the day she glitched in a marketplace full of strangers. And someone chose to see her not as a machine, but as a person worth saving. The end. Asterisk.